Hi, welcome everyone. I'm Achala Munasinghe, working for DMS Software Technologies. So I'll be taking you through how NetSuite will address your pain points with regard to your purchasing cycle. So because we had a couple of discussions with your top management, because I mean with our sales teams, and they mentioned that your main pain point is your procurement cycle. So I'll be taking you through the NetSuite solution overview, how NetSuite will help you to overcome the current pain points, and let's see how it will take you to the future. So before I move on to directly the live scenarios showing you the system, let me talk about myself for a couple of minutes. Uh, I am Achala Munasinghe, currently working as an Oracle NetSuite implementation consultant. Looking at my past experience, it's also with Oracle. I mean, started my career as an Oracle e-business suite consultant. Gradually, I moved on to Oracle Cloud Applications. Basically, I am the first Oracle certified Fusion implementation specialist in Sri Lanka for human capital management modules. So then I moved on to Oracle Cloud ERP applications. So that's how my past experience flows. And the foundation for that is I am a product of University of Colombo, Sri Lanka, passed out in 2014. And currently I'm proud to say that I am reading for my masters at Postgraduate Institute of Management of Sri Vardhanapura, which is also a state university in Sri Lanka. And also I'm proud to say that I'm a professional member for British Computer Society. So that's how my foundation consists of. So let's move on to the agenda today, which is flowing from what we heard from you. That's what basically we hear with regard to your pain points in a purchasing cycle. Then let me visually diagramize this flow before the live demonstrations on the system. Then we'll talk about how the proceedings will happen. So that's my agenda today for you. So basically what we heard from you, before I move on to the live demonstration, I want to recall what I we gathered from you. Currently you are maintaining requisitions manually, so it's purely Excel based one. So the number generation, everything is totally manually handled, and therefore you are unable to properly manage these requisitions because uh, there may be soft copies, there may not be hard copies. Everything, whatever you maintain as soft copy has to be filed as a hard copy. So there can be discrepancies between the soft copies and hard copies. There is a huge lot of manual works involving when you are doing requisitions manual, because requisitions is the main the first or the initiation point of the purchasing cycle. So if the initiation cycle is at a manual level, everything subsequent activities will also be cumbersome, plus will make you a pain at the end. And then when your requisitions are manual, the entire flow is manual. What will happen, it affects your profitability. It discourage the your capacity to expand. So you are unable to maximize your profitability because you are not aware at a glance how your expenses are incurred on your inventory, or maybe your purchase orders. So in that case, when you don't have a proper glance at your expenses, you might be tightening up your cash in your inventory with no use of money. So that sort of maximizing profitability problems has been arising within your company. So that's a main pain point when it comes to maximizing profitability. And there is no central repository of information. That is, of course, you have multiple systems One is running manually, one is standalone. Whenever you want some information, you need to go to the desk, or you need to log into the local area network whenever you want some information. So there is no single repository in your information. So that of course a main pain point. Because so let's see how NetSuite will assist you to address these information requirement and the accessibility. You have multiple system, and whenever you want some information, you have to log into multiple systems. There is no proper way of getting report or whatever. So, and also plus I want to highlight Oracle NetSuite is a cloud-based product. Whenever you have the internet, whenever you have the device which is capable of uh, internet facility, you have the access to your environment. That is the uh, enhancement with your accessibility that I am going to provide you. So that is actually what we heard from you at the moment. So let me talk about how this procure to pay cycle will be handled. Basically, madam, you basically your employees will enter a requisition whenever they want to have a uh, inventory item, or whenever they want to use some stationery. Let's assume they want some A4 sheets, let's say whatever it purpose would be, it could be a reselling purpose, it could be an expense purpose, whatever it is, they have to enter requisition manually. Then it will go in the approval workflow. Basically the department head or the person who is supervising the particular employee will have to approve the particular requisition, because there should be a control over the requisition, because you need to know why these expenses are occurred. Is there a real necessity? Is the inventories really running out of this particular item? That needs to be considered when the requisition is come to a approval status. And then it will be converted to the purchase order. When you know the vendor, when you know the items, and you know the price, it will be converted to a purchase order. Then what happens, we issue the purchase order to our vendor. Vendor's responsibility is to deliver the items at the promising date. So our warehouse team is ready to accept such awaiting receipts. So they will receipt and this in this part at the second level. Once the items are received, we are liable. So when we are liable, directly it comes to finance people. I know that finance people are looking at the screen. So your part will come once the warehouse manager has done his job. Whenever he has completed his receiving part, it's your responsibility to bill the vendor, making the liability for this particular vendor. When you do the billing part, you can do the amortization, and you need to review the billings to be it, and then processing the payment. It could be a check or it could be cash. So to simplify the scenario without making a cumbersome one, let me do the requisition entering part, the approval, and then we'll convert it to the a purchase order. Then we'll assign warehouse team to receive that particular item, and finance people will bill and will process and complete with the issuing check or a payment for the bills has been completed by the accounting team. So let me go to the system. So okay, now let me recall the process. The initiation point is employee enters and requisition. So this is the employee's dashboard. He has the tracking time, he has this sales commission part. So this is basically the basic interface or the basic KPI is provided to the employee, because he doesn't have much privilege over the system. So basic screen will be available for him. So what is his task is to create a requisition. when it comes to create a requisition, so he needs to enter the details for particular item. So we'll go to the requisition entering form. So you can see here pending approval, because we have enabled, for the demonstration purpose, we have enabled the approval workflow. So as I mentioned earlier, we need to control these things, because this is how you manage your procurement cycle with an approval workflow. Whenever you are doing manually, approval workflow will take certain time. Anyway, uh, Oracle NetSuite will have a real-time approval. So okay, now I'm going to enter an item. Let's say an iPad. Okay, so I'm going to enter an item called iPad. If you notice this particular screen, whenever you enter the item, there are certain things will be automatically defaulted. So the vendor is Apple Incorporation, and the rate is there. So these informations are automatically populated because we have a repository to maintain the master data for particular item. And also, if there is a link to another order, you can have this information as well. And you can have the journal numbers. Okay, this how we enter the requisition details by the employee. Now it's in the pending approval status. Now he will save it. So what this process initiated by the employee, now he has saved the requisition, and you get the confirmation for the requisition has been saved. So I'm taking down this requisition number, which is 39, and you can see that is under pending approval. Okay, what's the next task? Next task is for us is to approve this particular requisition. Okay, now I'm changing my role, because employee cannot approve this, so it has to be your purchasing and inventory manager. So these are roles. Based on the roles, you have your dashboard. Since the employee doesn't have too much access over the information, so he has only a limited access to the information. But when it comes to inventory and purchasing manager, his dashboard is quite different. He has lot of information, KPIs, sales orders, and you can have the graphs here, monthly inventory. Because when it comes to purchasing and inventory manager, his dashboard should align to inventory and purchasing related activities. All these dashboard, all these KPIs are related to such kind of activity, whether it's a purchasing, whether it's an inventory. Likewise, you have such information available directly on your dashboard when it comes to the purchasing or inventory manager. Okay, now what's our task is to approve this particular requisition. So you have your reminders here, requisitions to approve. Okay, 39 is there, your requisition is there. You go to edit, and you can see the approval status is pending approval. Before you change it to approved, you need to have a look at what are the items, what are the rates, the department, for which department this particular iPad has been ordered, so you know that particular information as well, for whose consumable. Okay, now I'm going to change to approved and save it. Okay, now I have saved the particular requisition 39. Now what's our activity? Now when the requisition is approved, our next task is, if you could remember, our next task is to process this as a purchase order. Once the requisition is completed, we'll create the purchase order. You click on purchase order. In Oracle NetSuite, you can process these particular requisitions as a bulk, and for the demonstration purpose today I'll be only taking as a single purchase order, but it facilitates bulk purchase orders as well. So since I have only one item, I tick on the first line only actually I have only one line, and I'm going to submit the requisition to convert it to a purchase order. Okay, purchase order has been created, but you don't have such information. It will come as the system processes on the backend. Once it is processed, you can see whether it's approved or whatever the status which is available. If you could see here, now it's been approved, and you have the purchase order number here. Okay, let me take this down because I'll be referring to the purchase order in my future upcoming transactions. So I'm going to click on this particular purchase order. Okay, you can see here approved by the supervisor, but it is pending receipts. Obviously it should be pending receipts because we just processed to as a purchase order. Warehouse team has to receive this receipt. Okay, you can see the quantities here, cost in details, amounts here. Okay, now it's time for us to receive this particular item. So you have this receiving screen like this. You have the item, okay, quantity 1, rate is there, currency, location. The information has been taken from the purchase order. For the purchasing inventory manager will receive this particular receipt. And also you have these requisition details as well. Now you have the purchase order details here. Okay, I'm going to save this. Okay, until okay, now it's created as the receipt has been created successfully. Now also when it comes to the receiving part or purchasing part, you can do these landed cost management things as well, but when it comes to demonstration scenarios, I will not be taking to the complex scenarios, but it of course facilitates these things. So let me look at, I know the finance people are looking at this screen, so you are keen on looking at how GL has been impacted for this particular transaction. Okay, you have the accrual expenses has been credited and inventory has been debited, obviously, because that's how you manage the GL impact on particular receiving part. So we'll go back to item receipt. Now what we did, we just completed the receipt part, because now it's time for finance people to billing, invoicing part, and to finally process with the payment. So I'm there in the item receiving part, receipt part. Okay, we have done it. Now when it comes to financial part, inventory or the purchasing manager do not have the particular access, so we need to change the role for financials. So financial, the US controller, When it comes to financial dashboard, I know this is the most critical for top management. Financial information, you have the ratios here. When it comes to ratios, whenever if you do manually, it will take a lot of time because you need to take some data from P&L, some data from balance sheet. You will have to multiply, deduct, convert it to percentages. So whenever you have defined these ratios, you could simply see at a glance how flexible, how feasible NetSuite dashboards is. You can experience it by looking at this screen now. And also aging summaries, and also you can, it's totally customizable. And also I couldn't mention to you when I was searching for purchase orders, purchase requisitions, I could have directly type whatever the information, let's say the purchase order number 13515. If you could just type it here, whenever the access you have with to inventory, it will directly show. This is called global search. You don't need to worry about whether what whenever the, the whenever you want to find something, you just go here and enter the details. With the global search, it will direct you to the particular transaction you are looking for. So this is how the financial dashboards will look like. Compare variances, previous month, current details, everything will be displayed with this totally customizable dashboards. So what is our duty here is to process the received items to billing part. So what we have to do is we need to purchase order, we need to build a purchase order. Okay, as I told you, I am going to search for the particular purchase order 13515, which should has to be built. Okay, see how easy it is. This is the purchase order and we need to build this. Okay, I'm going to build this. Approved by the supervisor now, but pending billing. Okay, now we are here to do the billing part. To process into the accounts payable, we need to bill it. Then only it will be hit on posted to accounts payable. Okay, now we are in the screen on the billing part. Okay, you have the credit terms here. Provided by the vendor Apple Incorporation. You have only 10 days 30. Okay, you have the invoice lines here for the iPad, rate, amount, and all these details will be there. So you have the terms based on the discounts you will get whenever you pay for this. Okay, we'll create it. So once it's done, it will invoice the email to the vendor. So once until it's loading, you can also make the references here whenever you have a purchase from the vendor. If you have any reference number, reference values, you can maintain in this here, which I couldn't show you in the editable field. Now the billing is been Apple Incorporation has been set to open. Okay, now we have come to the final part. Before the final part, which is to make the payment, let me go to the GL impact, because I know there are finance people, top management, how these accounts are being processed, they need to know. So accounts payable has been credited and inventory has been debited. So we'll return to bill because okay. Now it's time for us to make the payment. This is the payment screen. Okay, you have this particular invoice for payment. You have a discount here based on the credit terms. It could be a cash, and the payment is 430, and we are going to process the particular bill. So once the payment is being processed, we'll go back to the GL impact. You can see the accounting entries passed for discounts and the liability we have settled. You can see the accounting entries for that. Let me go to the accounts payable directory where you have entire accounts payable register. So this is how it does look like. You have all the details with regard to accounts payable account. Okay, so I have covered from requisition and to complete the payment. So in between we have approval workflow, we have converted it to a purchase order, then the warehouse team, we have informed them to receive the inventory, and finance people have done the billing part, and finally they have converted and they have processed the payment as well. That's simply the basic flow we have covered from procure to pay with the demonstration. So the way forward, when it comes to the way forward, it's not just the procure to pay cycle. We need to see the what is beyond procure to pay cycle. When you're having NetSuite, it's not just automating your manual effort. It's you can have your financial statement where the top management is most concerned on. You can have it your financial statement real time. In particularly, I have to emphasize on this because you have the drill down facility from the financial statement to the basic invoice level. So there is such capability in NetSuite where you can drill down from the financial statement to your single invoice. So you have your real time in financial statements updated, plus your ratios as I showed you in the dashboard, and you can have your proper control over your purchasing cycle because everything is fully automated. You can have your custom workflows, you can have your own forms, you can have your own dashboards. So you have your own dashboard, you have your own you have your proper control over your purchasing cycle. When you have the proper control over your purchasing cycle, your cash is not going to be tightening up in inventory as idle cash. It will be you can improve your working capital with cash because you are not tightening up in inventory, because you have proper management on your inventory, proper management on your purchasing cycle. When you have such cash in your hand, you can do your expansion, you can do your whatever the new differentiation activities, new innovations. You can invest on your R&D rather than just tightening. I know you are now currently you are tightening up your inventory and you don't have even spaces for handle some orders whenever you receive items. So in that case you can do a lot of things with regard to your financial management. So that's how I'm going to conclude this particular demonstration scenario, procure to pay. Okay, thank you very much for attending this particular demonstration scenario. So thank you very much. Goodbye.